over here. We shall now run experiments on the Three Wise Radio.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about movies, television, the internet, technology, comic books, and pretty much everything else media related. My name is Joe Greller.
What?
I've never done that.
In his defense, knowing your own name is the hardest part of what we do. Also, Alex, shut your mouth until we talk about you. You shut your mouth.
Joining me as usual are the other two wise guys, Garrett Welker and
Sam
Pixley.
Not Alex. Shut your mouth. I don't care what kind of hat you're wearing. Garrett, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Me too.
This is
Kicking
turning out to be
ass.
a great day.
It's the 50.
It's so good that us three are doing so well together.
Yeah. Without another person in here.
Yup.
It's the 51st cast, and today's show will be doing thrillers and horror movie monster fights, but not probably the ones you were thinking of. Or maybe they are if you're an old school type person. But first and foremost,
These fights are not interesting.
Good. But first and foremost, let's welcome back again to finish off our horror month review, our senior sexy zombie monster correspondent.
Welcome, Al.
Oh,
Alex
hi.
Klier.
Hey,
How are
When
you?
did you get here?
Oh, I just walked in. I was like really quiet with the door. I was like,
Welcome. So glad to see you here. Knowing your place.
happy to be here. It's a nice place.
It is a great place. It's a lovely place.
Yeah.
Can I interject really quick?
Please.
So this is a thing that happened to me today, and I'm not happy about it. Okay. So I am part of a monthly subscription-based thing. We'll not say what it was because we're not sponsored by anybody, but they provided me this month with a scale replica, I'm using quotations, keychain of the Batwing from the Tim Burton series of Batman. And there has been one problem with it, and that is that it
Jagging you in the thigh?
It is so accurate that it stabbed me in the finger while I was trying to get my keys, and it made me bleed. So I want everybody to go ahead and this keychain that I've removed, feel the bat wings of that. Feel the tiny little. Yes, they're quite sharp.
And it's serrated. Like
Yes. I would say too accurate.
Wow.
Try getting that out of your pocket, Joe.
No,
you
I don't
can't,
want to.
because it's a fishing lure.
it's gonna get.
I was gonna say, did that also come with a little thing of mace, like as a self-defense kit?
No, that's all you need. I would thrash that at an enemy and be fine. Let Al give a feel for that. It's super cool, but also really not great in terms of pocket comfort and my fingers.
Yeah, it's these little hookies at the
Yes,
top.
it's super
awful.
sharp. So I had it on my keys, and I went like almost a week and a half trying to be like, yeah, I can do this. And then it just cut up my jeans, and then my finger was bleeding on my way to Qdoba. I'm not doing a plug, but legit, I grabbed a napkin from Qdoba and wrapped my finger up in it because it was bleeding so much because of this super accurate replica. So good for this company.
Good on
also, shame on this company because, ow.
All right.
I just wanted to share with people my injuries and my woes. Other than that, though, kicking ass.
Speaking of the Batwing, it now potentially has a brand new owner. After several days of negotiations, AT&T has reached a deal to acquire Time Warner, which means AT&T will soon own Warner Brothers, DC Comics, HBO, Cartoon Network, and as well as like Adult Swim and all the iconic characters that come along with it, such as Harry Potter, Mad Max, Superman, Batman, and that other stuff.
Now, technically, this is still under scrutiny because a lot of companies are saying it gives them too much power. Also, technically,
But you know where they think it's given too much power?
Why?
No, where?
Where? In the TV market.
Yes.
Also, they don't own Harry Potter. They just own the movie rights of Harry Potter. They don't own
Like the names.
what J.K. Rowling's big deal. It's not a big deal. No one cares. But J.K. Rowling cares. Whatever. But yeah, the people are still putting up because they also own HBO, and so a lot of people are saying this is too much of a market into pay to watch as well as not pay to watch. You have too big of a market in that. We have to cut that down, which I think is baloney. Capitalism. Do you see how much they paid?
$80 billion.
85.6.
Good
I
lord.
was a
Billion.
little low.
Garrett, do you have that kind of money?
No.
Do you have half of that kind of money?
No.
Me neither.
Jump change.
All right, Alex.
You know what always makes
Why aren't
me...
you sponsoring us then? You asshole.
You know what? That's a good point.
Because you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Garrett. All right?
Good point.
Also a good point.
You know
Damn
what
it.
is always interesting to me is like, why does a company of that size, what is it that, like, I get why you buy it because you want to make more money, but what is it about, who was sitting at AT&T one day and was just like, you know what, let's buy Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
What is it that spurns this kind of purchase? What made Disney want to buy Marvel?
Well, I could tell you
I
that.
get Marvel more so, but not so much in this deal. This is kind of an interesting one.
I'm going to go back to capitalism.
Yeah,
Bread and
the
butter of
AT&T.
America.
You're right with the AT&T. Now the Marvel Disney stuff that was all kind of figured out because Disney wants to unload ESPN. They want to get out of the sports market and they need to recoup the costs of that. In which case, that's where Marvel and Star Wars came into play.
Oh, and buku bucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
but
Isn't this like the second or third time somebody's tried to buy Time Warner?
yes,
Okay.
Classic Lando.
We have a dog, if anybody didn't know, and he's so handsome but quite irritable.
and his name is Lando. Speaking of Lando, Donald Glover has been
Are we
cast
done
as-
with that segment?
Yep.
It was
Moving
a good
on.
segue.
It's a great segue. Real quick, though. Does this mean anything for the only thing that I care about in this entire buyout? I'm assuming that they're just going to say, HBO, do whatever you want. I feel like this isn't as scary of a thing as
making
Disney buying Marvel, because I feel like Disney's much more like, you need to cater to us, whereas AT&T is going to be like, yeah, just bring us those dollars.
Exactly.
Like, I don't care. So I don't think that there's any threat in terms of content, HBO based, because HBO is already, I believe, thriving.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen the numbers, but also DC based. I don't see them stepping in and saying anything because I don't think they have like the market on that.
This
so I
is
don't.
strictly a numbers game. AT&T, like you
Yeah.
just said, is not Disney. They don't have an image they need to uphold
Right.
or anything else.
Right. There's no mouse.
You may get your
involved.
content a different way. There might be more stuff on your phone if you're an AT&T subscriber or something like that. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it's gonna be.
AT&T singular Warner Brothers. AT&T CWB.
One of the T's will probably just turn for Time Warner.
ATTWC.
What's the C?
Singular.
Singular.
Don't
Got
they own
it.
Singular, or
You're
is that
right.
not a big deal anymore?
I thought.
I don't think that's a big deal anymore.
they
But-
definitely own Singular.
Yeah, they do.
Which isn't a thing anymore because now it's just AT&T.
Yes.
You know what? Capitalism. What's about that Lando Calrissian?
Lando Calrissian has officially been cast in the young Han Solo film, and it will be none other than Donald Glover, who is currently starring in his own FX series Atlanta, but also
Atlanta.
from Community, and has rapped under the name Childish Gambino as well. So I think it's a good casting.
I think it's perfect.
Listen, I'm happy about it, but it's like bad news that like it's like making the best of a bad situation because it's just reminding me still this young Han Solo movie is coming out, and I don't really want it.
What? Why not? Why don't
Agreed.
you want that? What?
Why wouldn't I
what?
want that?
Why don't
Dude,
you?
Okay, so let's put apart 20 minutes to talk about this.
All right. Well, yeah. Give me the
I mean,
basics.
Joe can speak for himself.
All right,
I
keep-
have my
Give me the basics of why you're not excited for
Issues.
young Han Solo,
The
other
Cliff
than the
Notes
fact that it's
version
not Harrison Ford.
because there's nothing prior to Han Solo meeting Obi-Wan and Luke in that cantina in Mos Eisley that I care about.
false.
I would say
How
that's-
Chewbacca and Han meet, how like that Wookiee life debt happens. That's not interesting.
That's the only one, but that's not going to be what this is about.
They have to.
If they've sold
at least
anything, this
talk
is going to be
it.
about how Lando lost the Falcon to Han, which is
Yeah.
cool. That's neat. The issue that I have with this, and I've also said that I don't think that Donald Glover is the best casting for this. Focusing on it more now, I think that it might be that I may have misspoken. Like it may be pretty good. He may do a better job, especially having seen an episode of Atlanta. He's got the range. He's a very talented individual.
It's not like Lando was a deep character.
True.
No, but
Billy
you have
Dillon's
to.
a great
But that's my issue with this is that when you're doing, and it's what we've talked about over and over again. It's when you're doing one of these, what do they call it? Rogue One. These anthology pieces. When you're doing it about a specific character like a Han or a Lando, you're expecting something that adds more to the character.
Right.
Whereas opposed to Rogue One, which I think is the right avenue that they're taking with this, I don't care about these characters yet, so I'm not invested in what happens to them.
They're just
if they
building the
die at
world.
the end of Rogue One, or if they don't, it doesn't matter because I know what's going to happen. They're going to get the plans somehow, and they're going to transfer them to the rebellion.
Gotcha.
Whereas this, we have already this expectation of what Han Solo is that I think it's just even bad financially to say we want to risk it making this movie about Han Solo. That's on the financial end. On the artistic end, I don't care about Han Solo's past, I don't need to know why he's a scoundrel. That's something that he made what is an anti-hero today in film. I don't need to know why he's an anti-hero. I don't need to know that probably there's a love interest that fell by the wayside, which made him cold and calculated the way that he is. Like, I don't need that. I already have what Han Solo is. So the expectations have to be met at such a high standing with this movie that it's just so unobtainable. So it's not his casting that bothers me. It's the entire concept of this movie that bothers me.
Okay.
So that kind of gives him a knock, but for the wrong reasons, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, I'm still excited for it, but those are all very good points. I think
Aldrich Killian's good
it.
casting. I think it's great casting, to be frank.
And let's be honest, we're all still going to go see it.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm telling you right now, where I'm scared I'm going to jump off the Star Wars bandwagon is going to be once after whatever the movie after episode 10 hits. I'm going to be like, all right, it's been 7 years now. I need a break. This is too much.
But if they bring up something new or something different that maybe involves what's going on in the current history, I think honestly there's just a smorgasbord waiting for you with the Old Republic that you can bring into, because it's far enough away that you don't know what happens that directly ties into the modern day or not modern day, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
The trilogy, that you won't care enough to say like, well, none of this matters because we know what happens anyway, because it's such a big world that they're falling into. But if you keep saying, well, let's do one about Obi-Wan, let's do one movie about Leia that shows when she became a rebel, like, you don't need that. You have what you have. Let your imagination dictate what the rest of these characters are, and let's talk about new characters that may or may not delve into the story to let us build a growth and an imagination and a love for these characters that we don't already have. We already love Han. Nothing we see is going to make us love Han Solo more than we already love him.
Yeah. Look, we don't know that, though.
If you can look at me and tell me that you really think that there's something that's going to happen in this movie that's going to make you say, you know what? I was super on board for Han Solo before, but now, Han Solo, then I'll believe you. But if you can't look at me in the eyes and tell me that.
I can look you in the eyes and say, I don't know. That's why I'm going to go see this movie, because there could be something in there that I don't know. Like, before Star Wars came out, no one could have predicted that, like, oh yeah, sci-fi movie's going to come out next month, and I don't know, I'm just not that, like, I'm on board with it. But then once it came, like, no one could have predicted that.
So you're saying that I'm being a little harsh in saying that we could see this movie and be like, oh my God, I need more of this.
I'm just saying the possibility is there for it to be really good and to be a very important piece of the Star Wars universe.
The only thing that I could agree upon of that, and it looks like they're already not going to do it, is what you said earlier. If we see what forced Chewbacca to do a Wookiee life debt with Han, which I think would be more a story about the Wookiees as opposed to about Han Solo. And I don't think they're going to do that, because there's no way that there's going to be a story where Han meets Lando and also the Wookiee, like a Wookiee rebellion occurs, and that's what forces Chewbacca into a Wookiee life debt. Like, I don't think that kind of story is going to be there, and you also need to focus more on Chewie and less on Han.
I would agree. I would agree on that.
But I don't think that's what's coming, so that's what bothers me about it.
Okay, well, I think, like, just us, we should, like, continue this discussion later, but I'm getting the feeling we should move on.
A little bit. Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna talk about that.
I have thoughts.
No, that's a whole topic even in for itself another day. But getting on to some trailers right now. 2 trailers debuted in the last week. One, Old Man Logan. The other, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Both very contrasting trailers. Both very good. I am more excited, though, for one than I am the other.
You say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Logan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, am I still allowed to be here?
Yeah, you're super allowed to be here. You've now entered the realm of thought.
And I was telling Garrett this off air. The reason I'm more excited for Logan is because I feel like I am still comic booked out just about.
Yep.
Like I was telling him, I'm not so sure if I'd really run out and go see Doctor Strange right away if we weren't reviewing it for this cast.
Yes, you're right on point. And sorry to jump in again.
No, you're fine.
But you're exactly on point. I don't care about seeing. And this, I mean, again, DC nut. I'm still going to see all the DCs midnight. Sure. I'm not worried about seeing Doctor Strange midnight. Right. I'll see it the day after. I'll see it the day after, where I don't have to worry about trying to buy tickets real quick. But like, it's just a thing now.
Right.
It's not. I have to see this. I have to be the first one. I have to know. Star Wars is still that. DC is still that. But with Marvel, it's like, I'll see it the next day.
But Old Man Logan, I want to because it's going to be a swan song. I was telling him, Even more so
True.
than Christopher Reeves as Superman. You've never had a character
Yep.
who's been in an iconic role for this long over this many movies that'll probably get recast. I said, maybe like Stallone with Rocky or like Schwarzenegger with Trump. Hang on. But like those won't be recast. Someday Wolverine will be recast.
Yes.
But you'll always think Hugh Jackman when you hear Wolverine.
Yep. Even
So
if
to
he's not the
have
best
him go
casting.
out. Yeah, well, we're
He's
way
too
past-
handsome. We know this.
Now,
tall.
I actually would argue in the original he was not too handsome. He's a little dopey looking in the original before the money and the fame got to him.
It's pre 300.
You're right. That
It's
is
pre 300.
Yeah. So, so that's why I'm more excited for Logan. It's just because then that trailer, Johnny Cash playing in the background,
hurt.
It was
It's
So
good.
typical, but so
It
good.
was so good.
What up, obvious? Like, it was just like, oh, you're playing a Johnny Cash song. Cool. But I think they're definitely the highest compliment that I can pay this movie. And if you've been watching this or listening to this podcast at all, you'll understand what I mean. The highest compliment I have for this movie is I don't care that he's not putting on the suit.
yeah, finally.
That's the highest compliment that I can say is I don't need him to put on the suit for this. I think that they're going the old man route, which is okay. They're doing what they can with it. I'm so on board with how cyclical this feels with coming all the way back to X1, where he's distant, he's far away from everybody. The only family he has is Xavier, who clearly looks like he doesn't, like, they've talked about it. He's in dementia. He doesn't know who Logan is sometimes. Like, I think it's exactly what you said. It's such a swan song for Hugh Jackman. This is the first time that in a long time where I'm seeing a movie because of a person.
You're right.
I'm more excited to see this for Hugh Jackman than I am for the story. This is a big deal. And as much as you hate to admit it, like, Blade came first, I believe, yes?
Yeah.
But X-Men kind of started,
Stole the
or
show.
at least gave
It
the
did.
push to get everything going. And
It
he's
did.
been there from the beginning.
True.
Yeah.
So it's just so impressive to see them going all around.
I'll say that 100% because people I still today don't think that Blade is a comic book movie.
It's definitely a
No,
comic
it
book
definitely
movie.
is, but people don't remember that.
I'm just really excited and I've been talking to a few people about this, but like I'm excited to see a superhero movie, like an action comic book movie, but it's not going to be like the Wolverine Origins movies where it's just like this is just an action movie starring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's going to be like this is an actual story. Like you're going to actually see character growth and development. Like I'm excited for that. Just this trailer has just like showed me that this is going to be a very like touching movie.
If he didn't pop claws and if he hadn't said mutants aren't around anymore and he said we're not around anymore,
It'd still be an interesting trailer.
You wouldn't know that this was a comic book movie.
No,
No.
you wouldn't.
And I also think that did everybody see the red band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of I think I'm finally going to get it where I want.
Berserker.
Just
True berserker.
thrashing people. Like these people aren't wearing body armor because that's an easy getaway for like, oh, he got stabbed with body armor. Like you don't have to show it that much. Like this is gonna be what we've all wanted and what everybody's needed, and it's such a great note to end on that I couldn't be more elated for this movie. I care more about this than Strange. I care more about this everything Marvel side.
I would agree with that 100%. All the other trailer, Guardians 2, touch on that real quick. I like the exchange between Pratt and Batista.
Sure.
But other than that,
I mean,
recycling the same song was kind of...
Yeah, I agree.
It was a little stale to me.
yeah, I think that was a. Cause I mean, that was one of the big pulls with the first movie was that it had this
Right.
great soundtrack.
One of the best
it
ever.
had all these like really cool like I don't want to say outdated songs, but songs that you didn't hear, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like that was it just gave this fun vibe, whereas this one's just kind of like
Hey, remember what you used to like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know that's a Disney exec being like, no, the audience is idiots. So they love this
They
song the
liked
first
this
time. They're
song,
gonna
play
like
it
it even
again.
better now. Like I hate that.
I think what also people didn't appreciate with that last movie is it wasn't like everybody made a big deal about Groot and everybody made a decently big deal about Rocket Raccoon. I think the most impressive player in that was Batista.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they did such a good job
Drax,
of
thank you.
Drax and of the character that he played and just that kind of like we don't know sarcasm, we're very straightforward, we don't know anything else. I think Drax and Batista himself really impressed people with what he was able to do with that character, and I think they did a good job of focusing on that and letting Baby Groot with the cosplay little suit that he had on being just kind of a fun little afternote of like, oh yeah, that's cute. But it was really like it was the human characters that bring you in.
Sure.
So apart from the blue suede playing that song, that was what brought me in, is that these characters are still evolving. These relationships for these characters is still so raw. We're still seeing them kind of grow. Mm-hmm. It was really cool. Mm-hmm.
Some female superhero news real quick. First and foremost, on the Marvel side of things, Jessica Jones 2 Season 2's director lineup has been announced. And it's all female directors. All right, Sam, I know you wanted to say something, but I have to keep it within a time frame because we are running a little long on headlines.
What I can say is super easy.
Okay.
When I'm trying to remember what the executive producer, what her name is.
I can't remember.
She gave an interview during the same time that she announced that all of her directors were going to be female, and it was for her writers. And she said what she really looked at for writers was she wanted somebody whose experiences were different from hers, who had a unique take.
Melissa Rosenberg.
Mm-hmm. That she always wanted to look for diversity to really make a cast. If you cast all female directors, totally cool with that. I don't care. Do what you want to do. But I think the second that you say, I'm only picking a select group of people to direct something or to do anything. If I were to say, I'm doing this writing thing, but I only want I only want Asian males to be a part of this because I think that immediately detracts from what you're trying to do. Because it does put an immediate emphasis on something besides what they bring to the table.
It pigeonholes the train of thought that's going into it.
Yeah, that's what I think 100%. So if you do hire female directors all the time, that's fine. It's your prerogative to do what you want to do. But I think it's a bummer for yourself to not say I'm open to maybe picking up a man that has a great vision or a great idea for what something could be. I think it's a bad tactic to take in any situation, regardless of its sex, race, age, whatever.
I would agree with that.
It immediately goes against what you said you want to pick up for writers. I want writers that are unique, that have different experiences. Right. Well, if you're automatically distinguishing 49% of the nation, I think that says something.
Yeah. It says something about her, but are all of these directors talented? Are they well suited to the job?
I would assume so. Yes, I'm sure they're all.
In all honesty,
talented.
if you're going to split hairs, the first season was half and half. Half of them were female directors, half of them were male directors.
That's the thing. You watched Jessica Jones, and I think that's where we're getting close to nowadays. You watch Jessica Jones, and you just enjoyed a strong female character, a strong female lead with strong female side characters, and it wasn't about how many female directors were, how many male directors were. Again, taking myself out of it, maybe I don't know that world as well as I think I do, but when you put an emphasis on something, I feel like that detracts from what it actually is.
Yeah.
I didn't care who directed it, if it was male, female. I don't care. What I care about is, do you have a really compelling character? You do. Is she a woman? Great. Awesome. Good job. You made a compelling character, a compelling story. I was invested in that character, and I thought that your writers and directors did a great job. I don't care who they were, what was specific about them. I cared that they were able to create the content that I was bewitched about.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
So it just seems like a little bit of a misstep to at least announce that and to vocalize that to everybody as if that's something that should get us excited.
You're right, and I take that back, Gary. You're right. It was 6-3 on male to female last season.
Again, who cares? 6 male or 6 female or
6 male, 3 female.
Neat. Jessica Jones kicked ass.
True.
David Tennant, who was a male, kicked ass. She kicked ass. What's her name? Oh my God, Carrie Ann Moss.
Oh, her lawyer.
Yeah. The lawyer kicked ass. Everybody did a great job.
True.
Hogan, right?
Yeah. Hogan. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
No.
Brother.
What is it?
Jerry Hogan.
Jerry Hogan. Thank you. Yeah, that was her name.
Or Hogarth.
Hogarth. Thank you. Hogarth.
Who was she?
She was the lawyer.
That was Carrie Ann Moss' character. We were trying to figure out her name.
Oh, right. What's her name? Oh my God, I'm
her best friend.
Totally blanking out. Fox or what is she's gonna be?
Hellcat.
Yeah, Hellcat. Sorry.
Walker.
Everybody did a great job. Why are we focusing on this?
Don't know. Because maybe casting is what makes the difference. Because according to Fox, our last headline of the week, Tim Miller has dropped out of Deadpool 2 because of creative differences with Ryan Reynolds. And according to multiple sources, The creative differences came over who they want to play Cable.
Yeah, Tim. I don't.
Apparently, Miller wanted someone named Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights and
You know who
Bloodline.
he is.
Oh,
You know who he is.
Yeah.
That guy.
He's
But
not.
Why not? Why not?
Good choices.
Because he doesn't have gray hair already?
No,
There's hair
because-
dye, people.
Yeah.
There's
And
hair dye.
he's a good actor. He's a really good actor.
top notch.
he's not gruff. He could not play.
That's why
Not
he's
yet.
an actor.
Let him grow his beard out.
You
Let him
say
show
that,
you.
but yet 90% of actors are not actors. They can show me an emotion, but they can't change a character.
Well, he's not one of those people, in my opinion. I think he's actually a very good actor.
I would
have liked to see.
I would actually
Now-
argue that his Bloodline character is very similar to his Friday Night
Okay,
Lights
before we get
character.
bogged down in a review of all of Kyle Chandler's movies, who does
Neither are
Ryan?
movies, by the way.
Ryan Reynolds. I don't think they said who.
They don't say who Ryan Reynolds wanted.
I would have liked to know though.
This is an extremely interesting story because I think it
By the way, Lizzie Kaplan's up for Domino. I want that.
I think this is very interesting because you took something that was so young and kind of pure with Deadpool. Is like this is something that people have wanted for so long. It was a ragtag group of people together. Ryan Reynolds
Tim Miller.
had been in talks for this for a long time. Tim Miller, this was his first outing. I think he owns like a special effects
he
studio,
owns the
but that's
production company.
like that's his calling. Like he had never done anything like this before. This was such an innocent project. That now that it makes money, you get
Yep.
the corporate hands in it, and things become issues. And although they say that it was an amicable split between the two,
That's a press release.
I don't believe that Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller, two people that made this baby one of the most successful movies of that year and I would say even of the decade, sat down in a room and couldn't like figure this out.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that was something that was as easy as to say, well, we wanted this guy and they wanted this guy, so we just said, you know what, I'll step away. That's okay. Good luck with this. I refuse to believe that. This was just as much Tim Miller's baby as it was Reynolds' baby, and I would say more so than any other parties. Regardless of how much money you put in, how much anything, Reynolds has been attached to this for a decade.
Yeah.
And Miller was the one that directed this and put this all together. So I refuse to believe that other people had as much investment in it as these two had.
Yeah.
It's sad almost.
Yeah.
It was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, you would hope later.
Well, yeah.
Do we believe that it was because of casting?
I don't.
No, there had to
No
be
way.
something else.
There's no way. Unless someone owed a serious debt like this guy. Who is this guy? What's his name?
Kyle.
Kyle Chandler.
Unless Kyle Chandler like had something on Ryan Reynolds, like I saw you murder this guy, I need to be Cable. I refuse to believe that Ryan Reynolds was like, it's Chandler or I walk.
Tim Miller was the one who wanted Chandler,
Yeah.
by the way.
I refuse to believe that Miller was, hey, I saw you kill this guy, Miller. It just seems so ludicrous that was a thing. I would like more to believe that Miller still wanted to do a similar movie to what they had, but now Fox is like, oh, we can throw some money at this and make some big money the next time. That's what it seems more like, but that also seems like a very skeptical viewpoint.
It makes sense, though, for the director to want to not cater to the studio, but to be it's a little bit easier for them to bend to the studio's will. And then for someone like Ryan Reynolds,
it
who you
was Miller
said...
that left because of the casting, right? So
Yeah.
it would seem like he's less willing to bend. And you have to cater to the actor, because they're not going to recast Reynolds.
True.
Actors.
What if they
Horrible
did?
people.
Who would they cast?
I don't know. That's why I said, what if?
Jonah Hill.
Watch as I gaze into my crystal ball. I see in your future 3 Wise Radio.
But continuing with our latest trend of horror movie themed segments, but with a twist. We have one on monsters this week, our final installment, but it's Universal Monsters. And Sam, what exactly are we going to be talking about with the Universal Monsters?
So, I like to mix it up. I like to keep things fresh. If anybody else grew up like me, I think we talked about this over the last month, because we'll probably talk about it forever, every October that we ever talk about this. My dad brought me up on 2 things. One was Godzilla movies, and the other was horror movies. When you're young enough, you watch the Universal movies, your classic, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., horror movies.
Boris Karloff,
the things that started it all.
Yeah.
Brought me up on those movies. So those were always very interesting, very powerful films, because they kind of set up the archetype for what those creatures were going to be, whether it be Wolfman, Dracula, vampires, whatever. So what I thought we'd do is, now that those aren't interesting, I think if you sat a toddler down and showed them those movies now, they wouldn't be scared. With just how saturated horror is in the market right now. So what I thought is, let's do a little classic battle royale that we like to do, and let's pit these monsters against each other and kind of see who comes up as the top universal only monster.
So is this true battle royale where they're all in it together, or is like this a bracket style? Or?
I have created an 8-person. They made more movies than that, but I just selected a very selective few, the big ones. A bracket style. I will set the stage for you whenever you guys are ready to hear the stage.
Yeah. I just have one quick thing. You keep saying this is the last horror movie segment, but Halloween is on Monday next month. So are we not doing another horror movie podcast?
Spoiler alert: our podcast would come out on the 1st, and as everyone knows, immediately following Halloween, Christmas starts.
Monday is Halloween.
Our podcast now comes out on Tuesdays.
I did not realize that.
That's why you're a guest.
So Tuesday is the 1st, and as everyone knows, right after Halloween, you start Christmas. So make sure to tune in next week for our holiday movie preview.
Oh, God. Right, because as we all know, Black Friday is now 3 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of companies have been saying we're not opening.
Yeah, a lot of malls are doing that.
Mad props. Don't care. Haven't been out in a few years.
A lot of malls like West Park, all of West Park malls are like, we're not going to be open for Black Friday.
And a side
or
note,
for Thanksgiving.
They also released a press statement going, "Hey, by the way, we're still open."
You know who is open? Walmart.
Capitalism.
Because kick ass.
Brackets now. Paint the stage for us.
So brackets. So the situation that we're looking at, because they are all monsters and some of them need water and some of them don't, we are playing battle. Okay, we are taking part. Let me set the scene. Okay. Half-mile radius, however many acres that is, I don't care. It is in swampland, okay, with one cabin that has a fire in the fireplace lit. Okay? So that's the radius. So we've got a pretty broad radius. This cabin doesn't have a basement. It's just a log cabin in the woods that has a fire lit.
Okay.
Every regular human is dead. No factors in there.
It's
at midnight.
I was going to say, what percentage of our like surrounding areas water?
It's a swampland, so it's a hodgepodge. Honestly,
little bit of land,
there's enough there's enough so the creature of the Black Lagoon is sustainable. That's all it is. Okay. So all it is.
Okay.
Can the Wolfman and Dracula swim?
I mean, if you know the lore, Dracula most certainly cannot.
Okay.
Based on what this movie is, he cannot.
Okay, I defer to your expertise.
So there is swampland, and it is a full moon.
Unsexy. Sorry.
Swampland, full moon at midnight. So there's 8 hours until sunrise.
Okay.
So that's the setting. We're all confirmed. We're all good on the setting.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Let me pull out my little booklet. First battle royale we have. This is one just to warm us all up, because clearly neither of these people are going to make it into the finals. Maybe not. We have the Phantom of the Opera.
Dope.
Versus the Invisible Man.
All right.
Ooh.
Phantom of the Opera's abilities are frightening people without his mask on.
He's ugly.
And the Invisible Man is being creepy. Those are their main attack strategies.
Is this log cabin in the swamp anything like a theater?
It is not. It is a log cabin.
Okay.
At best, it has a bedroom, and there's a fire lit.
Then I'm going to go ahead and say that Phantom of the Opera loses. There's not even much of a debate here.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that the Invisible Man is invisible and the Phantom of the Opera has no abilities whatsoever.
He is menacing.
See, here's the thing. I think
His
Al's
face is
right.
gross.
Al's right, and he goes by the fire because he's like, I need the perfect lighting so you can see the
You
gross face.
can and can't see what I actually look like.
And then the Invisible Man sneaks up behind him and pushes him into the fire.
Ooh.
And he is done.
Yeah. Phantom of the Opera is only effective when he's in the theater because he knows that theater inside and out. If he's just in a swamp or in a cabin or anywhere else, he's boned.
What if there was an organ and he could play a compelling whatever?
And then the Invisible Man is moved to tears.
Yes. And you see the tears.
Was not
in the face of the
established.
attack.
I would say Phantom of the Opera.
Why?
You're in a log cabin. You said
Okay.
You don't have to be in the log cabin.
Well, I'm imagining
Phantom would be.
the Phantom would be in the log cabin.
Okay.
You said at best there's a bedroom, so he's going to be in this single room log cabin with a fire lit. He's going to be able to see the shadow of the Invisible Man.
No, the Invisible Man doesn't cast a
You see no
shadow.
because he doesn't
Never
cast.
You
mind.
usually have to
I
throw
don't know
something
my
like
Invisible Man.
This isn't
paint
the Shadow
or,
starring
like-
Alec Baldwin.
Like
right?
sand or something. Like something has to be stuck to him normally. for him
Perhaps
to
a
see.
lady's makeup from that time because he was really a big fan of like, oh, let me pat my face
Yeah.
and
If
put
it
a jacket
helps,
on so as
they
to
remade
reduce
this
the budget.
movie years later with Kevin
What a
Bacon.
Kevin
great
Bacon.
movie.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. That movie was great.
No, we're not talking Hollow Man. This isn't Hollow Man. This is the Invisible Man.
I'm going with still the Invisible Man wins.
Yeah.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's all I gotta say.
Based on that,
Wait, is Alan Quartermain in this?
No.
Damn it!
Wait, are you referring to Alan Bloody Quartermain?
Twist, Alan
not.
Bloody Quartermain is the Phantom.
Oh, did I forget to mention that there's actually a sniper tower with Alan Bloody Quartermain?
Oh, well, then he wins.
From League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in it.
Fuck this bracket. Alan Quartermain wins. Sean Connery wins.
So we're going to Invisible Man hands down.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the Pee Wee League. Just gonna write Invis. All right. Next up, we've got a trickier one. So we have Dracula and the Mummy.
Okay.
Keep in mind, the Mummy's key killing method is strangulation. The Dracula's key method is seduction with a very abrupt
Draining of blood.
draining of blood. Mummy has no blood. Also can be out during the day. Dracula cannot be out during the day. Can't cross water.
I assume.
No.
No, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have blood flowing through his veins.
Well, it's not a. Well, I mean, it
doesn't
is partially a
breathe.
blood thing, but it's also an airflow thing.
He doesn't breathe. Vampires
doesn't.
don't breathe.
Okay, I didn't know that was a thing.
This is,
I can't say whether or not he does breathe.
I was gonna say this would end with Dracula trying to go in for a killing blow.
Only
to
to
the neck.
choke on the sand in the zombies' veins. In the
No,
mummy's
right?
veins.
only to have the mummy strangle him and hold him until sunrise.
Keep in mind the Mummy moves at -2 miles per hour.
I've got this. So the
True.
fight starts like Garrett said, but Dracula is actually an intelligent person. He's been around for a while, so he knows a little bit of strategy here. Once the Mummy starts to actually hold him down, he turns into his bat form,
Okay.
Okay, makes
in
sense.
which case he's able to slip out. He then lures the Mummy over the water because he can fly over the water, and the Mummy walks right into the water, neutralizing him, soaking wet.
Does the water
sopping.
neutralize the Mummy? Honestly, I can't remember. I mean,
I
it was in
don't know.
Egypt, so that there is no water.
the Nile.
So there's the Nile, but they weren't there. So I don't know how the water would react to him. So I honestly would say I think that the Mummy kind of just kind of
Outlasts him.
limps it along until either Dracula gets destroyed by the sun or tries to hide in the cabin, and then the Mummy finds
The
him
fire.
and picks him up and brings him to the sun.
What about the fire?
The Mummy could catch fire.
Well, I was also thinking about the
Dracula
mummy using-
also could catch
Yeah,
fire.
that's-
Again, I just want everybody to know that's why I made the fire. It's a very
It's the
compelling
wild card.
point. Everybody hates fire. These directors at that time were like, "What's going to stop this guy?
Fire.
Ah, fuck it, fire."
Zach, what are you trying to say?
I have a question.
Yeah. Hello, Zach.
What's the difference between a mummy and a zombie besides the wrapping? Because if you go in water and you come out and all of the wrapping falls off of a mummy,
You're naked. Mummy.
aren't they just a zombie?
It's more like, I
So
assume
mummies,
magic.
have generally, and I believe in this instance, correct me if I'm wrong, the mummy has a curse put upon them that makes them rise. So they usually have some kind of motivation other than just like needing human flesh. Like the mummy rises because of the need to return an artifact or to obtain something, whereas a zombie just rises because brains.
And I'm assuming we're going with the zombies that we established in the last episode.
Yes.
Of they are intelligent, disease-based
not a
zombies.
Usain Bolt with lightsaber zombie.
What about the undead?
You don't know that though. I haven't
There's
seen.
several
I
different
haven't seen.
types of
I haven't seen a
zombies.
movie where a zombie has been raised because of a certain spell. I guarantee they're out there.
But the undead, like,
Undead is a zombie.
We had this whole debate last time.
that's my question.
No, that's totally fair. But this is a mummy that has been raised for a specific part. We'll just assume that the vampire has taken an artifact from there.
All right, this is a tough one.
Which is why I started us with the Invisible Man.
That's good. Now, being the senior sexy correspondent, I'm going to have to side with Dracula.
Dracula will not bewitch the mummy.
No, not purely, not out of
For sure.
bewitching. Like, I mean, although I would want that to be the case.
I bet you would.
Dracula's intelligent. The mummy is more or less a stumbling creature.
Sure.
So purely based on intelligence,
But
I think
how
Dracula
does
would win.
Dracula get rid of the mummy?
Fire.
El Fire, Classico.
I would say, like, if we're not positive that water would destroy, like, sog down the mummy or whatever, then I would go with the fire.
Okay.
A carefully applicated fire.
Personally, I think the mummy takes 8 hours to walk to the cabin, so by that point, the Dracula has to go to sleep. That's my personal belief based on watching that movie and seeing the mummy, like, make Jason Voorhees look like Usain Bolt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that that's a more compelling point, but I'm staying out of this so that there's still a 3-person vote system. So,
Okay.
So you give it to Dracula.
I give it to Dracula.
I give it to the mummy.
You give it to the mummy, Joe.
I gave it to Dracula because I still think water neutralizes the mummy.
How?
He doesn't make it out of the other side.
Why not? He just walks. He just
Because,
keeps
like
going.
you said, well, we have no precedent. So,
he's
I'm
a
going.
little
If you're,
so he's a little
his body is
soggy,
toilet
Joe.
paper. His body is toilet paper,
No,
and
his
we all.
wrappings are toilet paper. His body is yucky flesh.
But
He is a zombie. Mummy is a zombie, but with motivation. So you give it to Dracula.
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree, but I am not a part of this discussion. I am merely
Moderator.
Moderator and
Moderator.
commentator.
Dracula beats the mummy. Okay.
Surprise victory.
Shocking. I wonder what's going to happen. Next up, we have the Wolfman versus the creature of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
We'll call him
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein.
Okay.
Frankenstein's monster prefers to choke/chuck you into a lake. The Wolfman chooses strangulation, regardless of his claws or anything. He just strangles people. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you ever watch that movie, it's a lot of like ridiculous shaking.
Because he's
of
not
women.
really
I guess
a
'cause they didn't do a lot of
werewolf.
He's
gore.
more
He
man
is a
than wolf.
Yes.
Huh.
He's a wolf man. He's not really a werewolf.
He's a man
more of
wolf.
A wolf man.
Man bat.
That man has wolf characteristics. Look at how hairy his chest is.
Gotcha.
So those are kind of the methods. Wolfman, pretty fast comparatively. Frankenstein, quite slow.
Again, we have the fast. Slow.
Wolfman, not as strong as Frankenstein, but Wolfman also faster than Frankenstein. Frankenstein and the Mummy could probably do an anti-Flash Superman race. Who gets there the slowest?
So it's like golf, where
Yeah.
if you win, you actually lose.
Both don't like fire, but Frankenstein
Is really
is
scared of it.
quite opposed to fire.
But it does send him in a rage.
Yeah, but it sends him into a rage at the fire.
Yes.
When Frankenstein swats at he just swats at the fire, not necessarily the person holding it, just the fire.
How smart is Wolfman in Wolfman form?
He's smart enough to track, and he's smart enough to remain out of sight until the killing blow starts.
So animal.
So he's got some kind of animalistic like predator.
Intelligence.
I don't know why I said
in-
predator instincts.
Did we said full moon in the
It is
setup?
it is a full moon, so
Okay.
there's no waiting away. But however, if you wait until sunrise, he will transform into Lon Chaney Jr. or Talbot, if you want to get
Right.
into specifics.
This is tough.
Because I'm gonna say even if like he doesn't do it in one night, he's got another several nights to do it, and it's just like, let's say a whole week of just him slashing around it.
Yeah, this is like that
Frankenstein.
game in like
Or
always in the
or
playoffs.
as a human, he figures out like, oh shit, Frankenstein doesn't like fire.
Yep.
Now,
Now I've got something.
just for the sake of argument, I know we've already decided the Wolfman wins, but let's say that the sun comes up and the Wolfman's like, I'm not the Wolfman anymore, I'm Talbot. And then he goes to the cabin, and then Frankenstein, also being basically a human, also goes to the cabin, doesn't realize that Talbot is the Wolfman, and they have a nice long discussion in which Talbot somehow convinces Frankenstein to fuck off. Forfeit.
Yeah.
So you're thinking there's a Talbot conversation where Talbot's like, hey, we shouldn't fight. And Frankenstein's like, yeah. And it's like, you know what? You bring up a good point, but I'm going to counter that offer with, what if we don't kill each other? And Frankenstein responds with, and then they both walk away amicably.
All right, now all right.
This
now,
doesn't help the podcast.
No, all right, now I've never seen the original Frankenstein, the Universal monster. He doesn't talk at all in that.
He goes like this.
I don't
All right, now
understand
tell
your
me there's
accent.
tell me there's fire. Say there's fire.
Hey, there's fire right over there. All right, so once again, Talbot wins purely by showing him the fire.
Beats it like, sir, I just want to warn you, there is fire here. I will use it.
And then Frankenstein
concede.
runs away. Okay, so Wolfman thoroughly wins.
Okay, well, there we go. Glad we put that to rest in 5 seconds. Okay, next up we have the creature from the Black Lagoon versus 3 mole people. If anybody remembers,
I don't.
mole people. I'll give you a hint. They are people, but from underground. They've got 2 eyes. They've got kind of spotty heads.
Do they breathe underwater or no?
No.
So
But
someone's
this
gonna
is a
have
swamp,
to.
so it's enough to sustain creature, but creature, like he always does in the movie, still has to come above ground. I'll try and pull up a picture of mole people for you.
My guess, I'm going to go with the Black Lagoon creature because
He has enhanced strength, and he prefers strangulation by his method. He likes to put his face,
A lot
his
of
hand on your
strangulation
face.
going on.
Yeah, well, you can't really show
Limited-
much in
limited
those
special
movies.
effects.
True.
I would say the creature from the Black Lagoon because these mole people are going to try and burrow to try and get him, and eventually they're going to hit water,
Can't burrow in a swamp.
and also that.
It's too mushy.
But also they're going to try and burrow, and eventually they're going to get a cave in, and either A, they're just going to drown
Kill themselves.
or B, they're going to just open a tunnel straight for the Black Lagoon
They
creature.
do
Just be
have
like,
big claws. If anybody's familiar, sorry, the mole people is a
I
bit
am
of a stretch.
not familiar with
No,
them.
okay. It was that or the Bride of Frankenstein, and I thought we'd been down that road.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the mole people.
Now, if it had been Bride of Frankenstein versus Dracula,
So yeah, I mean the only real strength, the mole people don't like love sunlight. They're not a huge fan of it because it's just powerful. It's not gonna blow them up or anything.
But it matters not.
And
Full
then
moon.
creature needs that water every once in a while for sustainability. But he has enhanced. He's stronger than a person.
Yeah, I'm going with Creature from
Yeah,
Black Lagoon.
Creature
Just
Even
kinda-
with the numbers, there's 3 mole people. That's more than one.
but enhanced strength, you can breathe underwater. The mole people have big claws and they burrow. That's it.
Creature still has claws, though. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Creature has claws, and
a tail.
wait, do the mole
He does
people?
not have a tail.
No, the original. Yeah.
Do the mole people bite?
They don't really have mouths.
So I'm not worried about it then, because I feel like claws versus claws. Creature from Black.
Creature
but like,
also
if you were
doesn't
talking about
have
like
a
gnawing,
mouth.
yeah,
He's got like a kind of a big. He kind of
Yeah.
like he could suck on something, but he couldn't bite something. If that makes any sense,
he
what
may
are we-
suck the mole people to death.
he could suck them to death.
What are we talking? Like, all right, on a scale of 1 to 5, what are we talking about intelligence-wise for both of these characters?
I would give mole people a 2, and I would give creature a 5.
Okay,
'Cause he at
creature
least
wins.
knows how to hide in the dark.
Okay, creature, hands down.
Mole people are kind of like, we made it out. Let's get somebody.
Yeah, I'm going with the mole people are kind of like Mole Man from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
where they're
but
just,
dumber.
Yeah, they're pretty much just useless.
Okay.
All right,
I feel like
creature.
I threw a couple of quickies in there.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on.
all right.
I was hoping for the best for mole people.
The underdog.
So now we've got Invisible Man versus Dracula.
Ooh, this is a tough one. Because Dracula could, like, theoretically hypnotize him or, you know, like,
Theoretically, should he see him and make
exactly.
eye contact with
If
him?
he can find him, he could influence him to do whatever.
Sure.
And then,
I say Invisible Man because I feel like Invisible Man can hide long enough for the sun to come up.
so we're playing the waiting game again.
We
waiting
sadly
game.
are because I feel like, but if Dracula could get his hands on the Invisible Man and
But
actually
there's a
bite
cabin.
him,
Dracula can hide in the cabin.
I also feel like Dracula would be able to sense his presence.
True.
Even if he's invisible, I still feel like he'd be like,
I know you're in this
something's
general vicinity.
Something's happening. Let me bewitch this whole area. Ooh,
Spooky eyes.
look at how alluring my tuxedo is.
And
This entire thing is speculation.
I don't think Dracula can just lay down like a web of like
Speculate of seduction.
yeah. He's
Area of
like
effect.
I'm gonna influence this area.
I always thought it was eye contact, yeah.
Yeah, because
No, it's
especially in the
definitely
Bela
eye
Lugosi,
contact.
it's
for
like
sure eye contact. And also, you have to be. I don't think the Invisible Man would be a compelling enough character, but you also can beat the eye contact if you have strong enough will.
nah.
Because he definitely did that too.
Yeah. But in like assuming again for the sake of argument, assuming Dracula knows that the Invisible Man is there, Invisible Man isn't like a compelling enough character to be like nope.
I'm not bewitched by you, sir.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, even if he didn't get him with that bewitching spell, I would have to say Dracula. I feel like Dracula is intelligent enough to like figure out like, oh, I'm seeing footprints over here, or oh, like I'm gonna try and throw like something off, like sand or something in this general vicinity.
True.
Also, keep in mind he could do echolocation as a bat. Like, look at this invisible bitch. I
Also
think so.
that.
Dracula.
So like yeah. So
an asshole.
if we're in a swamp, you can see his footprints and the echolocation. If you're in a cabin, then again, I'm gonna bank on intelligence for Dracula.
Okay.
So yeah, I side with Dracula again.
Thinking Dracula. The waiting game enough for the Dracula to comb the area. It's not that big of an area.
It's a full
is the
night,
most
and also
lackluster.
Dracula can hide in the cabin.
This what these characters are.
Lots of walking slowly.
Yeah, it's a lot of
strangling.
anticipation
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, suspense all day.
Joe, thoughts?
I still got to go with the Invisible Man on this one,
Based on
just the waiting game. And
Just waiting
because
until
I feel,
it's-
he may be able to sense him, but then he still has to figure out where he's at in the room and attack him. And this is not a super fast vampire. This is just a guy who's kind of a normal speed. And also, like, but if he got a hold of him, like, he could bleed him, and then you would be able to see where he's at. So,
because the Invisible Man is still just a regular person, so
He's just
he
a
would even
guy.
be able to sense blood.
yeah.
I think the waiting game, like, it really only like for Dracula anyway, because Dracula could hide in the cabin. The waiting game really only applies for Dracula with a villain that can keep him occupied until the sun comes up, not just a character that
This
waits.
is 8
Dracula
hours.
has 8 hours to use echolocation as a bat.
I'm gonna side with Dracula.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 3, Dracula.
Okay. Dracula wins. Write that down. Dracula. Next we have Wolfman versus Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Ooh,
Again.
land versus water.
Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Okay,
not
hang on. Hear me out.
Waiting game.
No.
They both sit there, become best friends.
Could one
both attract Dracula.
Can one lose a leg in this, or be like kind of dismembered, but is able to be full for the next battle?
If anybody has more potential, it would be based on like reptilians, which Creature from the
Right.
Black Lagoon would be more susceptible to regrowing a limb.
So
Are you saying like from battle to battle?
Yes.
Like being able
regenerate?
to recoup.
So
yes.
after a fight with Frankenstein, does Wolfman still bear scars, kind of thing?
basically, so here's my theory. Wolfman eats part of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
okay.
But
You're
it
assuming
doesn't-
a light hide, not a tough
Yeah,
exterior.
but it doesn't sit well with him, and he dies of food poisoning. Therefore, by default, Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Bad
Chilling-
sushi.
chilling in the swamp.
Wolfman dies by
Exactly.
bad sushi.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's great.
Solid argument.
Solid. I would give it to the creature though, because like kind of the same argument we were giving with Wolfman versus Frankenstein. Like he's got as much, if not more, area in this swamp to traverse.
True.
And like he can, and I'm going to assume that he's been living in this swamp.
Yes.
So
he's
he-
accustomed to it.
He knows it. He's able to move a bit more silently despite being in water, and is able to just like hop out and surprise you real
Yeah.
quick.
This one surprised me. Like right off the bat, I would have said Wolfman just because he's more of a predator that we're used to. You know, claws, teeth, blah blah blah. But given the environment, I'd say Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I give it to Creature because either A, it goes quick and Wolfman attacks him. It goes to his key move, which is strangulation.
Obviously.
Joke's on you, I've got gills.
Joke's on you, I've got longer arms too.
Yeah, I'm not strangled, and in fact, my hand is on your face. You have been destroyed. Or it goes long game. He turns into Lon Chaney, who was not really a tough guy, if you remember that movie.
True.
And then Creature of the Black Lagoon kills you during the day because, oh, son, maybe not my best friend, but definitely not my worst enemy.
I also think, like, well, you said Creature from the Black Lagoon has enhanced strength, yes?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Wolfman is, which one would you say is stronger?
Wolfman's stronger, but I would say Creature. No, Wolfman's stronger than a human, but Creature from the Black Lagoon is stronger.
Then Creature from the Black Lagoon drags him into the water, drowns him. Done.
You could do that as well. Again, keep in mind this is a swamp.
Which
Okay. Joe, thoughts?
has water.
I went with Creature, and you know
Yeah.
why.
Cool.
Creature it is. Which brings us to the final battle in the least compelling battles of all time. Dracula versus Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ding, 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 ding. Dracula wins.
Calling it?
Calling it.
How?
creature is a living thing that has eyes, and Dracula.
Yeah, you're supposed to be arguing for Dracula at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think
Dracula influences him.
I don't think Creature would be bewitched by Dracula.
Why not? Why would
You've never seen Dracula bewitch an animal.
Yeah, he's Dracula, not Aquaman.
He bewitched.
We're all right. There is no precedent for him doing. Well, no, because he does do animals.
He bewitches people of weak will and bewitches
he's a reptilian.
people that have
But it's an
those
animal.
sexual urges. Creature is like,
It's not just sexual
I am
urges. He
bewitched
gets
to kill.
He has animal servants, does he not?
Not in that movie.
Not the original one. Damn it! I keep going off of extended canon. Fuck.
He looks at you and is like, "Come to me." Creature Black Lagoon's like, "Bet I'm coming to you," like for sure. But
This is already coming to
But
you.
this hand is super gonna be on your face. Don't try and bite my hand. Yuck. I think that's a situation where, you know, when you cover somebody's mouth and they're like, "Oh, lick your hand, get your hand off," and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Well, then I'm gonna side with Joe's argument from the last fight, which is Dracula tries and bites him and dies of seafood poisoning.
Again, compelling argument. I think, again, you have the waiting game. I think you have Dracula who is confused.
Can we just like nix out the waiting game, because that's come up in every single battle, and for this final battle,
Let's
just
mix it.
for the sake of argument. Let's get rid of it.
And then I think Creature from the Black Lagoon, he tries to bite him, is not pleased with the taste of that blood because it's like reptilian, what I assume is goo.
But it's still blood.
You don't know that.
All right, name a living creature on this planet who has toxic blood
Aliens from Alien.
of this planet.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
God damn it.
I think he bites him. Creature's like, "Whoa, dude." Grabs him by the face and drags him into the water where he like does whatever vampires do
then-
in the water, which is like, pff.
But then we have the Frankenstein Dracula fight again, where Dracula is quick-witted. He turns into a bat and escapes that grab.
That
Then
was the
Creature's
Mummy.
like, "That's fine, I'm chilling." Then you bring up the waiting game again.
No, not the waiting game. I bring up the intelligence thing. I bank on that again.
Right, so he flies away. He flies away like a bat. Then what's gonna happen? Creature's gonna be like, "You asshole," and then he's like, "Fine, I'm here."
And Dracula figures out a fucking way.
How?
I
How do
don't-
you kill Creature? You light him on fire? Better go to this water
water,
thing that I love.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, we were playing into Creature's hands the entire time because there was a swamp.
True.
I put the swamp so he could exist. It's not like there's water everywhere.
No,
like
I'm
there's
just
some
saying.
water.
Yeah, that's like
around.
us putting the whole thing in a log cabin in the middle of the desert. The mummy wins.
Not necessarily. The mummy doesn't need to survive on the desert, but the creature super needs water.
True.
So I get, but that's the thing is, you would say that that Dracula is compelled to keep the creature out of water, but in the movie, the creature knows when it needs water and is like, "Fine,
I'll come back
I
for
will
you."
go back into the mist, into the water. Just so you know, though, I will come back, and I'll put my hand on your face."
If we're playing the waiting game, then technically Dracula could just like drink all the water in the swamp.
Oh God.
That's
He can't drink
it's a
water.
long
He
game.
can't drink water.
He can't
Dracula
drink water
can't
at
drink
all.
water.
Bro,
He can, but it won't do
doesn't
anything.
drink
He needs
water.
blood.
No, I know, but
But he's saying like over time he
Over
drinks
time,
the
the-
swamp
He
dry.
He won't be able to drink all the water in a night. I think once
once
creature-
waiting game.
right. I'm thinking waiting game.
All right, then death by
day.
sewage water.
All right, so
First daylight, he's like, "Oh man, I've drank like 1,000 gallons of water today." Creature's like, "This dude's sleeping. Let me grab him by the face and drag him into the water." "Oh, he evaporated because of water. That's weird. Guess I'm gonna keep being a creature."
fine. Waiting game's back on the table. Dracula's immortal.
Not when he gets dragged in the water
That he does.
because of like whatever religious principles Dracula's are
Right, of
against.
course.
It was blessed
Dracula's.
It was blessed by a holy shaman, probably. Who knows?
Hey, who knows? It could be.
There was no reference to shamans. Sorry.
I think Alex's good looks win.
That bears
That's-
no merit to this. I refuse.
I accept the compliment, but
No, the only
not a
third party
factor.
I will stand coming in and winning is if Abbott and Costello stumble upon all this stuff. And somehow,
And then they win.
Surprise victory,
No,
Abbott and
they're
Costello.
not here. They're busy.
I say Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I give it to Creature. Oh man, he's
Joe?
no, I
so
give it to Creature as
efficient
well.
out of the water.
All right, I know I'm fighting a losing battle, but I'm gonna have to go with Dracula.
So yeah, I think it's Creature because when we're talking about slow moving things that strangle, there was no one who did it more proficiently.
His hands
Than
are
Creature
so
from the Black
big.
Lagoon.
His hands are so big. Biggest hands on the market now.
Those palms. Huge palms.
And also, what I think, okay, so we're going to announce him the winner.
Ah, damn it.
And actually, happy surprise, this is probably my favorite movie from the Universal movies. And I think it's so good because the makeup job on him, Lon Chaney's makeup is amazing on Wolfman, but like what they did to him in that time for like prosthetics and what they were able to do with that creature.
That's a full prosthetic.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. You didn't see lines. You don't see like, oh, that's clearly where his mask is or anything. He is just solid from head to toe. It's fantastic.
Little known fact, they actually cast a creature.
Where was he from?
The Black Lagoon.
Brown Lagoon.
Some bitch. Also, they were on the Amazon. I don't know if there was a Black Lagoon.
I was going to say Loch Ness, but
No.
Bessie.
That's really been the Loch Ness monster this whole time.
Nessie, yeah.
Oh, did I forget to mention that Loch Ness is in the monster is in the swamp?
Why, laddie, just strap on your kilt and listen to Three Wise Radio.
But since it's Halloween, we thought we'd take a look at thrillers, you know, kind of horror movies' estranged cousin, just about.
Oh, I thought we were just going to talk about Michael Jackson.
Well, that too. But I'm just saying, it's very interesting because a lot of thrillers you would describe possibly as horror movies.
Yeah.
It's all about the twist, isn't it?
With thrillers in general, yes.
What a twist. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Al, there's some moaning going on. What do you think?
Well, you get down to the specifics of it, and there's a lot of blending for sure. Like horror movies can be thrillers, and certain thriller movies have horror aspects, but they are not synonymous by any means.
But I think what we're looking for is movies. I mean, usually when you see thrillers that show me a thriller that doesn't have a twist ending, and I'll show you a movie that's not a thriller. There's not often you see a twist that's like, oh wow, how about that?
But a thriller
usually it's like, oh my god,
But a thriller movie doesn't have to be a horror movie.
True.
That is true. Okay, so I'll name some thrillers. You tell me whether or not you would classify them as horror movies.
Okay.
Keep in mind, according to most mainstream cinema people, Jaws is a horror movie.
Jaws is a horror movie.
There's
is
gore.
it is a horror
and-
movie.
I just want to keep that in mind when I'm reading
you
some of
say
this.
it's not a horror movie, and I say it is, because it is.
Silence of the Lambs.
Horror movie, for sure. That dude wants to put your skin on him.
And the other one wants to eat you. So
That's pretty horrible.
If they would just work together.
But when someone says
Seriously, I'll eat them, and I'll give you the rest. Like, that's...
no,
use all body
if
parts.
we
That's classic Native American.
God damn it.
Use all the parts.
all parts of the buffalo.
Use all the parts.
No, all right.
all the parts of Buffalo.
Yeah, of buffalo.
Buffalo
Yeah.
Bill.
Hey,
Oh, my God.
no. If we get down to the nitty gritty of it, yes, a horror movie. But when someone says Silence of the Lambs, that is not the first thing that comes to my mind. I think that's a thriller. That's an intense, suspenseful movie.
Okay.
But I don't think horror movie. Off
Next
the bat.
one. Seven.
Seven's a whole...
Same thing.
I
as
say
Silence
horror
of the
movie.
Lambs.
No, I say horror movie because I qualify Saw as a horror movie, and I think this is a precursor to what Saw becomes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty compelling. No, Saw is a horror movie, for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubts.
I guess does the scare come before the... whatever makes a thriller a thriller?
Okay, I guess this. All right, so where I draw the line is in terms of storytelling, what takes precedent, the suspense or the horror. So Seven is about the crime and the solving the crime. The horror is just an amplifier to that. It's not the focus of the entire movie. It's not like Saw where it's like, oh my god, these people are gonna die in horrible ways.
I would disagree. I think Seven's way harder to watch than Saw. Way harder.
Well, because it's got that mental aspect. That's
That
what takes
thrilling
the front
aspect.
seat. That's what takes the front seat. The suspense, the crime of it.
Okay, so let's bring it back. Hitchcockian. Vertigo, Rear Window, Psycho, horror or thrillers?
All thrillers.
Psycho's a horror movie.
Oh well, all right, Psycho, yeah, Psycho for sure.
Birds is a horror movie.
But
you didn't say Birds.
Rear Window is about a killer?
Yeah, but you
It
don't
is-
see
it is a-
you don't see the killing ever. There is no killing in
But
that
that's
movie.
because it's 1954.
But this is the movie. You
If
chose
Friday
this
the
movie. This is
13th
what we're
was
talking
made in
about.
1954, we wouldn't see the killings either.
They also wouldn't have made Friday the 13th in 1950.
It's true, but Rear Window, as it is, as a piece of cinema, there is no actual killing in that movie.
Okay.
More of a thriller.
The Sixth Sense.
Thriller.
It's about ghosts.
It's about ghosts, but you don't. Well, wait.
Yeah,
do
you
see someone die?
Oh, pretty much the whole time.
You see dead. He sees dead people. But
Were you about to say you see dead people, not ghosts?
no. You see dead people, but do you see anybody die?
yes.
You don't have to see somebody die to
The
see a horror
Wahlberg.
movie.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh,
How
fuck,
dare
I
you
forgot
forget
that.
about Donnie? Also, there doesn't have to be death to be considered a horror movie.
No.
Well, but I'm going based off of like the gore, like the physical act of killing, as a quintessential part of a horror movie.
Gore is more equated to slasher films, not horror movies.
Okay, well then, all right. Then what's all right? So that's what I've been going off of. What's your defining aspect of a horror movie as opposed to a thriller? Because I defer to you on horror movies.
Ooh, but see, I would say Jaws is a horror movie. I think what's most compelling about a horror movie is it's not about you're not trying to solve something. You're connecting. You're connecting with the fear of a character. Okay. So like horror, for instance, Alien. I'm not trying to figure out what this alien is because I want to know what this alien is. I want to know what this alien is because it's killing everybody. Because it's on the loose, it's on the rampage. What's happening? What's happening because I'm terrified that it's going to end me. Not I got to figure out what's going on so that I can figure out the answer. It's more of I have to figure out what's going on so that I can save myself from whatever's going on.
So what it sounds like is that good horror movies need thriller aspects, but thriller movies don't need horror.
Yeah. I think a thriller movie needs some sort of horror to compel you to figure out what's going on. Otherwise, it's just that's weird, moving on.
Yeah, to keep in the back of your mind. Rear Window, compelling thriller because there's the threat of a killer out there somewhere.
Right.
Alluded to.
Right. Birds. Oh, Jesus, there's birds going on. I wish I knew why these birds were killing all of us, but it's so that these birds don't kill all of us. It's not
horror
like
movie.
Rear Window, I got to figure this out. I'm not in any imminent threat until late in the game.
So thriller is more of a waiting game. Horror movie, there's a little bit more immediacy to it.
Yeah,
sure. I feel like, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. I feel like the thriller aspect has more of a, I don't want to say it's more focused on story, but it kind of is more involved in telling a story. Fuck, I don't know.
So okay,
I don't know.
I think this is what you're trying to say. This is what you're boiling down to. In a thriller, you're not invested on terms of danger or threat until late in the game.
Yes.
Like a thriller, it's
builds.
It's not until I figure something out that's dangerous. Whereas Jaws, you're there's a fucking shark in the water. It's on. It's already on because that shark is there. I don't need to solve anything. It's there.
Yeah. The horror.
Seriously though,
I've watched Disney Channel movies and said the horror.
that's Jewish. That's two different things.
Oh, then the horror.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, if you're watching a horror movie, you're watching it and the reason why it's a horror movie is because it's unfathomably terrible. It's so awful to what's happening on. A thriller is something that you're okay, that's fucked up, but that's a personal decision that's happening. The horror is how conceivably can this be happening? And if you can't conceive why it's happening, it's horror.
No.
On a
I say
grand
no.
scale.
I say no because you have movies like The Strangers where it's conceivably I couldn't conceive any of our neighbors coming in and trying to kill us right now. I couldn't conceive of that.
Yeah, we live in Chicago.
But that's what horror is. It's
Something
there's
that you've
why
never
are
even
you
thought of.
killing us? Yeah, because you guys were here.
I think
It is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we think we have a we
Oh, you're
think we have a
saying
good
conceive of it. You couldn't
idea now that we agree upon, or do we still disagree?
I think we generally agree.
There might be some gray area.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is the whole reason that we have these discussions.
Wow.
But also
So-
my last definition of the difference between thriller and horror is thriller is where I'm sitting there watching very tensely, and then horror is where I'm making a lot of uncomfortable jokes to disguise how scared I actually
So
am.
is The Exorcist a horror movie or a thriller? For sure.
That's a documentary.
Okay, then here we go. Let's finish out
right.
some of these lists.
All right.
Shutter Island.
Thriller.
Thriller.
Through and through.
Okay.
Scary, but thriller.
The Skeleton Key.
Never saw that one, honestly.
Kate Hudson?
Yeah.
I don't remember that
Horror.
one very much.
Horror.
Her performance was, at least. Zing! I'm sure she's a great lady. I'm sure she's very nice.
What Lies Beneath.
Which one is that?
That's the one with
What's the twist?
Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford.
Oh, where the husband drives the car into the lake and then yeah. Thriller.
Even though it is based around the theory of supernatural stuff.
What lies beneath? Yeah, I'd say thriller.
Yeah.
So does a supernatural element make a horror then, or no? What if you add a supernatural element into it?
I think I think thrillers are more about like you're worried about like, oh my god, what's going to happen next, as opposed to like, oh my god, how is this character going to survive?
Whereas a horror movie, you know what's going to happen next. Something bad's going to happen next.
Okay. The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Thriller.
But this man is there to basically take over for you.
But it's more of
That is a horror movie to me, where they take and then they replace you.
But then again, I'm gonna fall back on the way that they tell the story. Like, it is meant to be a psychological thriller, as opposed. Well, like it's a bit strong to say psychological thriller, but still.
Hostel.
Horror movie.
Yeah.
Horror movie for sure.
Because of the level of gore, or why? How is that different than The Talented Mr. Ripley, other than gore?
Well, I haven't seen The Talented Mr. Ripley, so I defer to other people. But I would say horror based on the fact that it's the fear of what's happening over. Ooh, I want to figure out what's going on.
Maybe
Thriller is more of an intellectual, like I want to know what's happening and because of why. Whereas horror is more of a direct, what's happening. How do I escape this situation? As opposed to I want to get to the bottom of this.
What's happening
Nobody
now?
who is getting their leg sawed off is like I want to get to the bottom of this.
What's going on now, as opposed to what could be going on.
Maybe.
Really, what it comes down to is what you were saying earlier: is the emotion that it elicits from you. So, I mean, we can talk about definitions all day long, but it's person to person.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, I say a horror movie needs the thrill, but thriller doesn't need the immediacy of a horror movie.
I will accept that. I will accept that 100%. Some different kinds of thrillers here wrapping up. There are the comedy thrillers, believe it or not.
All right, here we go.
Such as Dr. Strangelove, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, In Bruges, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. There is also the techno thriller, which boasts such great stuff as iRobot, Source Code.
It's a techno thriller.
In which it's basically when technology is part of the element that goes into it. This is an actual genre. Things like
It's not.
Yes, it is.
Nah, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
Eagle Eye.
Pretty sure iRobot is a Will Smith movie.
I think all of those movies are not all of them. Most of them good movies, but those are just action movies that have suspense elements in them. I would not define them as like iRobot. I love iRobot. Not a thriller. Eagle Eye, not a thriller.
You want to know? Okay, so for the genre you claim is not a real genre, do you know what a lot of people cite as the most influencing story to debut the techno thriller genre?
Blade Runner.
No, The Hunt for Red October.
What?
Oh, you don't say.
Technology is the most
Russian.
side element of that. It's only the characters that make that movie good.
No.
Hey, the BBC is what said this, and you got to trust the BBC.
Well, the BBC.
The BBC says, I'll tell you what. Oh.
But too soon.
Oh.
If the BBC says it, it must be law.
I'm a Russian man with a missile. Oh.
And a Scottish.
God, he didn't have to try at all.
Not
did he?
at all.
Not at all. Man.
I'm pretty sure everyone else on his crew speaks Russian at some point.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
for
Sean
sure.
Connery's like, nope, fuck that shit.
Scottish Russian here, reporting for duty.
Was that better or worse than the Scottish Spaniard from Highlander?
Worse. It's so much worse. Because that at least has an element of mysticism about it. This is just a guy. We're so off topic.
Officer Chekhov, or whatever the fuck his name is.
God.
Yeah, what were we talking about again?
Thrillers.
Before we got onto Sean Connery impersonations?
I think we figured
for
it
Red
out.
October.
I think we figured it out. Sean Connery in The Hunt for Red October is the most horrific thriller you'll ever see.
Three Wise Radio. Hey, Mikey, he likes it.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing your interest, or we just say what is piquing our interest. It is very complicated, and to
always
make
forget.
matters more complicated, we always go to Garrett first. Garrett, what's
Make it complicated.
how does what I say make it complicated? I'm just playing into the facade.
I've just
Segues.
got one.
Exactly.
My one is that some of my friends from back home, they're in a band called Isabella. I'm plugging their
Plug,
stuff. They
shameless.
just
Sounds horrible.
Hey, screw you. They just released a new album this past week.
I
and
liked Isabella when they were out. We used to play them on
that's what
Rage
we were
all the
listening
time.
to the other day at work.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, they they've just been doing really well for themselves, and it's been really cool because like I was there, I actually like booked them for their first show, and like it's just kind of been a really cool process, like seeing how they've evolved over the years. So yeah, congrats guys. I don't know if any of you listen to this, but congrats.
Sam, what's piquing your interest?
Piquing my interest, nothing really big. The only thing that I really have is for some reason it just kind of like made me happy. If anybody actually saw Krampus from last year,
Yeah.
it was really good. The writer of Krampus was brought on to do some touch-ups on the Godzilla script.
Oh yeah.
So
That
I don't know
actually-
how that relates, but it was like, yeah, that could be kind of cool. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't
Like
make me sad. It's just definitely interesting.
Which Godzilla? Like the Japanese Godzilla?
No.
Oh,
Like
the-
Gareth Edwards' next Godzilla. I don't know if he's directing it, but like Godzilla
that's-
2.
gotcha.
Because there's supposed to be other monsters in that too, and Krampus was really good. But I don't see how that translates at all. But fuck,
That was actually because there was a bunch of haunted houses at Universal when we went a week and a half ago, and like that one was
the
terrifying.
Krampus
Horror
one.
Night?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything's evil. It's all bad. Oh, look at those toys. Just kidding. Death machines. It's not thrilling at all. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Just horrific.
Alex.
Al, what's piquing your interest?
All right. What's piquing my interest? All right, so I had one. I'm just gonna get out of the way really quick. Today we record this on Sundays, and Westworld comes out on Sundays, which is HBO's series. It's about robots. It's like a Jurassic Park meets iRobot kind of.
You know what it is? It's a great intermission until Game of Thrones starts again.
Pretty much.
Is what it is.
But anyway, that's really good, and it comes out today, and I'm really excited to go home and watch that. But what's actually piquing my interest, which I didn't think about until what was piquing your interest, is they released the trailer for King Kong a little while ago, and the looming possibility of a King Kong versus Godzilla movie, which
It
would
is
just
happening.
be super.
Oh, it's you know it's
dope.
happening, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but like we have yet to hear anything.
It's in the
like-
horizons.
Exactly.
Again, I still believe that this is going to be monkeys versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
This is going to be a plural monkeys, apes, whatever, versus
No, man,
Godzilla.
skyscraper-sized monkeys versus skyscraper-sized dinosaurs. It's gonna be dope.
Godzilla still wins. I prefer the Japanese version of the original. They made two, if
Are
anybody's
you gonna
unaware
watch
of
that new one?
Yeah. But they did make, is anybody aware that they made two different versions? In the American version of Godzilla versus King Kong, so they both fight and they end up falling in the water. In the American version, King Kong gets out of the water and walks away. In the Japanese version, Godzilla gets up and walks away.
Of course.
Japanese all the way. Godzilla has atomic breath.
Gojira. So yeah,
That's it. Just saying, it's a fun fact.
interesting.
Was piquing my interest because we didn't get to it during headlines, but I wanted to get your take on it because this was a minor discussion I did want to have. Wonder Woman turned 75 last week, and it's the third.
Looking good.
Yes,
She's a has-been.
it's the third superhero in a row from DC.
To hit 75.
Hit 75. You know we're gonna keep doing this over and over and over again coming up, and then in 25 years we start this all
100.
over again with 100. Do we care that these superheroes have hit these milestones or no?
I think it's just impressive that they've.
It's the question that is basically piquing my interest, I guess.
That's all about. Be like, hey, Wonder Woman's 75, but look at this thing we've got.
No,
Buy it.
Okay,
Look-
and I
look at this
understand
coffee
that's why
mug that
it's
says Wonder
that's why
Woman
they're
75.
branding it. But I'm asking you, do you care?
50 is an important number. 100 is an important number. 75 is a cash grab. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so we will not promote our 75th, is what you're saying.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be a fucking awesome episode. But
starring Zach McMahon.
but I don't see. I think it's a grab. It's like doing. Oh, is the 80th going to be next? I guarantee they do something. Oh, it's the 80th anniversary of Batman. Cool.
I like purely from a fandom standpoint, like not being pessimistic and saying, like, "Oh, this is a cash grab" or
How
anything
dare
like
you.
that. It is impressive that these characters have been around this long. Like, I mean, everyone says, "Oh, this is modern mythology. These are like Greek gods and capes and blah blah blah." And when you say it like that, it's just like, "Oh yeah, these are just retellings." But the fact that a character who is a comic book character, and comic books were not always revered as like, laudable. And a laudable artistic venture. It's impressive that they're still around,
Sure.
and and now they're thriving more than ever. So 75 is like, while not impressive from your perspective, Sam, it is just impressive. Period. That they're still around, that we're still talking about them.
Yeah, because like, what's Marvel's oldest? We're looking at Captain America, probably, right?
Yeah, and he just did
Human Torch.
Fantastic Four is the oldest.
Fantastic Four is the oldest, but
If we're talking like actual Marvel comics and not like timely comics, like way back when, like pre-war or whatever, yeah.
yeah, it's Fantastic Four then. However, I guess that means we will not be promoting our 75th. But if you'd like for us to promote our 75th already on our 51st, you can tell us about it, and there's many different ways you can do so.
Our 74th is going to be better.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Nope.
Yeah, I actually counted it out. Our 75th might be on.
You guys
on
just
St. Pat's
ruined
Day
Joe's segue. You ruined it.
If you want to ruin Joe's
If you want
segue,
to ruin a segue, feel free to, what do it? Have it a Facebook.
You can email us at threewiseradio@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at threewiseradio / #3wiseradio. Find us on Instagram at threewiseradio or on Facebook at threewisemedia. Our sister podcast is Movie Versus, and as we were talking about earlier, they're doing horror all month.
Yeah, they are. This one's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
My
what's
brother's
this one?
giving me a sneak peek, but I'm not going to reveal it here. But it is not what either of the other guys are expecting in terms of having to watch movies.
All right. I'm interested.
So make sure you check that out as well. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next week when we finally do our Inferno review.
Three Wise Radio is a production of Three Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.